The House of David story has fascinated the minds of millions for over a century. It was a place in Michigan that was surrounded by mystery, religion, romance, baseball, travel, sex or lack thereof, scandal, and huge wealth. It was all based on an unusual religious colony that called themselves the House of David. Their leader and founder, Benjamin Purnell, preached that he was teaching the way to have eternal life of the body and the way to live forever on earth.
As they tell it, they wandered for 7 years. But they were preaching. They were preaching this idea that Benjamin was the seventh messenger and that the day of reckoning or the millennium is close at hand. They wind up in Fostoria, Ohio, where they gathered a few converts to their way of thinking.
They came to Benton Harbor, Michigan in late 1902 for the purpose of meeting the Boschke brothers, Louis and Albert Boschke, to finance the beginning of the House of David Park.
And Benton Harbor looked like a good location for them to start this colony. Part of Benjamin and Mary's preaching was that if you follow us as the seventh messenger, you will have an eternal life.
Converts traveled from afar to hear the message, and many would join their colony, giving up all their worldly possessions in exchange for the promise of everlasting life.
Right away, they are able to start building, farming some land. They had a few followers that came with them and a few that they gained.
The House of David was intended to be an ingathering of the Jezreelite faith for people to come here from around the world to gather together, and 144,000 chosen people would step into paradise together.
They came from all corners of the globe to see what they were being told was paradise on earth.
It must have just seemed like a paradise to them, because farming is hard work. But then when you have people and it's a working colony and they're all together, and they all have a purpose and all of this, it just seemed right to them.
Those that joined spoke of feeling like they were at the gates of heaven as they arrived to trumpets and bands playing. Everyone in beautiful attire, magnificent horse and carriages, and elaborate mansions to call home. They flocked in by the thousands, and many would make their lives there forever. What began in early 1903 as a place of a new exciting Christian faith soon became so much more.
There's a famous picture of 85 Australians that joined on the same day, coming out of the ship canal in Benton Harbor, heading to the House of David, and they're playing musical instruments and singing, and amongst those people were actors and actresses and vaudeville talent. And so as people flocked in, they not only had massive amounts of members, but they had massive wealth, massive talent in music and all kinds of industries. And so that's how they grew and grew.
They had this idea that they were going to build an amusement park. Part of the reason was they had an ice cream parlor behind their Jerusalem building, and they were already attracting curiosity seekers. And that ice cream parlor was becoming an attractive nuisance. So if we could put it across the street in an amusement park, we can sort of kill two birds with one stone. We can make money on the tourist, and we can create housing and so forth for the impending ingathering.
They built so much. They had their own steamships and trolley cars and bus lines and hotels and restaurants and park hotel. They built the amusement park with the help of the Australian people that came in. Because of their brains, they knew about that type of thing.
Visitors arrived by the tens of thousands per week, and soon the House of David was one of the leading amusement parks in all the country. It would ultimately entertain nearly 100 million visitors before its demise. In 1914, Benjamin decided to form a baseball team, the likes of which had never been seen before. These players all had long hair and long beards and were considered some of the greatest players to have ever played the game.
Here you have a whole bunch of teenage boys, by the hundreds by then. And Ben noticed there's a whole lot of them that are super talented, athletic guys. And he thought, you know what, he loved baseball himself. Why not form a team?
The House of David are one of baseball's greatest attractions. And whether they were playing the local town team or a Negro League team, the thing that the House of David, they were unusual. And they were good ball players. So you're talking about the golden age of semi-professional baseball. And so the House of David could come in, and it's going to be one of your biggest draws of the year.
Their teams would go on to win over 70% of their games, with many years playing over 160 games.
Well, the House of David actually started playing against black teams before 1920, when the Negro Leagues started. So they were already playing teams out of Chicago, the American Giants, the Chicago Giants. They were already playing those teams. So there was already an association, a connection to the Negro Leagues. And most people don't realize how far back that relationship goes.
I think if you talk to the remnant, they would say, we're not leaving anything behind. They're still strong in the belief and that they will be going into the millennium in a youthful body. Let's say if it doesn't happen that way, they're certainly leaving some good memories. Good memories. It doesn't matter where I've ever spoken to people. People have come up to me and want to share something, want to share some memory that they had, something, interaction that they had with people there, what they got to do.